Welcome to Delightfully Dysfunctional, a podcast about navigating the emotions of the human condition and the challenges that come with it. I'm Kaylani Persian Mason, a psychotherapist and life coach with James Timmons, an ever-curious human. This is not a replacement for mental health therapy. Please seek out mental health care if that's what you're needing. This is an opportunity for self-healers to dive deep and understand more about themselves. Welcome back to Delightfully Dysfunctional. I'm Kaylani Persian Mason, and I'm here with my co-host James. Oh no, there's a fly in here.
There's a fly.
Oh man, I want you to just like catch it with your hand, like
I've
ninja
done that.
style. You have.
I used to be like a psychopath. I used to be good at it, and I would catch the fly, and then one time I drowned the fly like a psychopath.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but they deserve it.
They deserve it.
Although they have the job that nobody wants, and that's eating human poop and dead bodies.
Specifically human poop.
Yeah, eating all poop and all dead bodies. Like they're so important, and so it's like, you know.
Glad we're starting this episode off with fecal matter.
I feel like that's how all good conversations start. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't want to eat human poop or eat dead bodies.
Oh no, I'm glad that if reincarnation is a thing, I'm very glad that I didn't come back as a fly.
Yeah. And
I really hope that your torture of them doesn't give you bad karma.
I don't believe in karma, but I mean, if reincarnation is the thing, I feel like I'm going to come back as an eagle. Not because I lived a really great life. It's just that I identify as an eagle.
You identify as an eagle?
I run around my living room naked while flapping my arms.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Those are some vulnerable admissions. You know what? Okay, my knee-jerk animal thought, and this is so random. I don't know why. I was like, salamander. I thought you'd come back as a salamander. I don't know.
Salamander vibes?
You have salamander vibes. That's the vibe I got.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
I don't know what that means.
Like I'm lizardly.
I have no idea. I've not thought about salamanders in a long time. I don't know.
Okay. Let's see. What animal?
Yeah, what animal what is your knee-jerk gut reaction?
The first, and I don't know why, but the first animal that came to mind was koala bear.
I kind of like that. Thanks.
Although I heard, and this is not related to your koala vibes, but I heard that koalas are super annoying animals. They scream and they're really dumb, and they said that there's only like a couple
a dumb annoying koala.
They said that there's only a couple of things that they can eat, and they always choose to eat the things that they'll die from. So, and they know that they're what's poisonous to them, but they continue to eat them anyway because they're so dumb. And I'm not saying that you are dumb or anything. The reason I think I'm
gonna be a dumb, fat, worthless koala, annoying koala, screaming like a banshee.
I think the reason why you gave koala vibes is because you give so much quality time.
Wow, that was like pretty good, but also bad.
I was sitting on that for a minute.
Oh man.
I was like, how am I going to fit quality into it?
How am I going to fit this in? Yeah. Well, we are actually having to re-record because we tried the other day and there was an issue, but it feels good because it was later in the day and when we tried to record a few days ago, and I don't think we were on our A game. I think we are morning podcast people.
Yeah.
Like I come in with some energy in the morning.
Yeah, my brain is usually firing. I do my best thinking in the mornings. At the end of the day, I'm usually ready to just play video games or binge The Office and just chill. So yeah, in the morning I had just exercised and that I got all the
your jazz, your endorphins,
morning momentum.
Yeah.
So
feeling caffeinating right now. Yeah.
So yeah, evenings. Although one of these days we're gonna do like a Friday night TikTok live and advices while drinking alcohol.
Which is going to be, I mean, I'm such a lightweight, so that'll look like me taking like 3 sips probably and being like, whoa, I may tell you what to do.
Listen, here's what you're going to do. You're going to, never mind. didn't say F words.
Oh man, but yeah, so I mean, we can give still maybe like an abbreviated update on things that have been going on for us. We just got back from a trip from Canada, and it was really fun. Canada's not that far from us, and I hadn't really realized how close it was to get to Vancouver or Victoria, BC, British Columbia, and it was really lovely. And I learned that that Canadians are like 40% nicer than us. And I need to be, I'm going to try and be a nicer person. That's a goal I have. And I've already began. I gave someone flowers yesterday, and I'm just going to try and be a bit nicer. They were so nice.
Did you know that the only contribution that Canada has ever given to the world is hockey? And the last 9 Stanley Cups were all won by American teams. So in your face, Canada.
Okay, now what if we have Canadian listeners? I'd like you to suck up to them a little bit now.
Well, you said you're gonna
romance them.
You said you're going to be nicer, so I'm going to be meaner.
Oh,
to balance it.
That's the balance.
Yeah.
Okay. Oakley and I also decided that if we ever run for political office, a stand that we will take is make bathrooms great again. Like the Canadian bathrooms don't have a gap in the stalls.
Oh gosh. Okay.
And they're like long to the ground. You have full privacy. And what's going on with America? We're a first world country with third world bathrooms.
I feel like,
and I'm sick of it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. There's no reason, there's no justification. And America still does daylight savings. So between daylight savings and gap full bathroom stalls,
no, we're falling apart as a nation but just on those two
points. Things are reasons why I would be willing to bear up arms and go to war. You know what I mean? Like if somebody's like, hey, let's storm the Capitol, and I'm like, no, and like if we do, then it's gonna solve daylight savings and bathroom stall gaps. I'd be like, get my gun.
I'm there.
Where I'll drive.
I'll bring my slingshot. Here we go.
I would storm the Capitol for that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It was wonderful, though. I mean, it was wonderful just to get a family trip, and we went on hikes, went to the Olympic National Forest, which felt like I was like transported to Fern Gully, which only children from the 90s will know. Yeah. But it was like magical. It was so beautiful. The parts that weren't great: toddler not sleeping through the night, toddler meltdowns, middle school boy poking you all the time, like bugging you all the time. But it was wonderful. Those are all the things you can expect when you go on a family trip.
For your kids.
For the kids.
Just kidding.
Just like the lack of sleep, and that doesn't make anything easier.
Yeah.
I don't do well, man. And I have a kid that doesn't sleep. So
yeah.
She slept last night. That's why I'm feeling happy today.
Have you tried, and parent to parent?
Yeah.
Have you tried alcohol?
Just to booze her up a little bit?
Yeah, Priya some alcohol.
Parent to parent.
We call it boozy snooze.
Boozy snooze. Have you given a little boozy snooze? No, I've not tried that. That's worked for you.
Well, I would recommend taking your sippy cup, a little bit of whiskey, and a little bit of vodka.
That's the magic.
Yeah,
that's the mix. Okay. That's how the kiddos were able to sleep.
Yeah. You don't cut it with anything. It's just straight alcohol.
Yeah. I'm sure she'll love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was super fun. But yeah, we also had to say goodbye to Oakley on Saturday, and he went back to his mom's house. So there's always like a transition period there, and it's harder when the house is quieter and everything, or you start finding, you're doing laundry, you find his clothes or his toys that are still scattered around the room. You bring him to a quiet room where he isn't at. So there's like points like that happening too. But I was really excited and happy that he got to be a part of the last episode. He was so excited. He was so excited for that.
And has he gotten to listen to it yet then? Because it came out yesterday.
Yeah, I don't think he has yet. So we need to chat with him this week, and then I was going to share with him so he knew how to find it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a good episode.
He'll love it.
Yeah, a lot of jokes on that episode.
We had some good jokes.
Yeah.
And he just I don't know, he impresses me. But what's been new with you? You've been making some bank. Cha-ching.
Yeah, business is back. Feels good. And Yeah, a lot of great things. I feel like I shared this in our one candid conversation 2 days ago, and it sucks because there was a lot of good. So maybe I'll try to like bring it in and fix the audio or something. But yeah, we the audio didn't take, so we couldn't use it. Anyway, what was your question? How was my life?
We'll
Yeah.
go with that.
Okay. Yeah, I just finished that book at the Mountain is You this
actually,
morning.
I downloaded it on Audible today. I've not
really?
started it, but this morning I did.
Oh, you started
yeah.
it? Okay.
I haven't started it. I mean,
Okay.
like I downloaded it.
Okay.
But I plan on starting it this week
Yeah.
because you keep going on and on about it and you won't shut up. So I mean, I guess you should figure it out.
Well, yeah, and so, but like between all the self work last few months and like this podcast, all of our conversations, and then that book, I really feel like I've reached inner healing. Like the other day I felt, I felt like I could say that I had a lot of inner healing, and I just, and I really felt like this is where the fun part begins, where like life is going to become good again. And so like, I mean, it might have had something to do with like, I had a, financial windfall, and that feels really good. Maybe that's where my joy is contingent on, which is a problem.
Well, I mean,
No, that definitely, because that was one problem that I've incrementally
feeling
been trying to
financially
fix.
insecure is hard.
Yeah.
That's like not a fun place. And both of us have incomes that are contingent on real estate doing well.
Yeah.
So we've felt it too, and it is hard. I feel Zach and I are working harder than we ever have, and our household income doesn't reflect that because of the economy.
Yeah.
So, it's a mental mindset that can be really tricky when you're putting in energy.
Yeah. Well, but the lessons, because in the past, I was successful in real estate, but it was on accident. It was like all because of like my popularity and my marketing and stuff. And so now I've had to really like grind like one small step at a time incrementally to solve this financial problem. And then so I got to a point of,
Sorry, folks,
like-
just breaking stuff, but it's okay. It's okay. We're good.
of over like a year of just steady, slow growth.
Yeah.
And now I'm finally beginning to like reap the harvest of all that.
That's
grinding.
so exciting because that growth feels really hard. Like you're pulling yourself
Yeah.
through sometimes.
Yeah,
in the
and you're
beginning.
patient.
Yeah. So to feel like, I don't know, certain mindsets or habits are coming more naturally. That is a really good feeling.
Yeah. Well, and also it's great because like that whole mindset and principle is not just in my financial problems. It's I've tried to apply that in like every facet of my life. This is like the slow growth. I found that 99% of all success can only be attained by slow, consistent, steadiness. And so, so I'm starting to see a lot of things kind of come together because I just didn't stop.
Yeah.
But it's also, it feels a lot more permanent and on purpose. So then because the temptation now it's like, well, once I started like money starts coming, my temptation is like, okay, now I'm going to take a break. I'm going to blow all my money and go like travel or whatever. But it's like, no, James, just continue doing what you were doing because that's what got you here,
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe like force myself to like, take a couple days off here and there, but I definitely can't because I used to just like have a really strong month and I would take like a week, just be super lazy. And it would like really hurt down the road,
Yeah. So that consistency. Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good lesson to be learning.
Yeah.
I think I've been really self-reflecting on the habits I have and what's in my control and out of my control because in the mornings if Priya hasn't slept well, I think it really affects my productivity and just like the flow of what I want to accomplish. And so it's been really good to think about, okay, I could tweak or eliminate this, or I could be more aware of that, maybe not be so automatic. So one of the habits that we've been talking about in the last month, you and I on, is social media and just and phone use in general. Because for me, even it's like YouTube, I like, and I don't know if it's like the distraction. There's a couple like YouTube channels that I like, and a lot of them are really dumb. It's a mix of like music videos, but then also like Good Mythical Morning, which is a really dumb online show, but like their personalities feel familiar and like just right. There's nothing that's really of true substance that I need to be accessing. So, and what can you gain when you don't have that constant distraction? So I've tried to be more aware, like on my drives, maybe not listening even to a podcast or an audiobook or anything where normally I would. Yeah. And being aware of my thoughts, which at first can feel uncomfortable, but then it feels really familiar. Like, oh yeah, like you're getting reacquainted with yourself. And I think there's so much processing that is so healthy that can happen in those moments. Yeah. And how much have we eliminated because of distractions on our phone?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Cause because podcasts I've always considered to be like healthy, it's a source of entertainment, but then, you are being influenced by other people's thoughts still. And it's like, to really be creative and to grow is to just be like confident being alone with your own thoughts,
comfortable being alone with yourself. Like there's some quote and it goes something like, you're only really alone. Oh no, I'm messing it up. What is it? You're only lonely if you don't like the person you're alone with. There we go.
That was you who said that.
Well, I'm right here. You heard it here. Quote me. It wasn't me. I don't know who it was. Oh. But yeah, I think a lot of us people, humans, can feel uncomfortable and maybe experience some anxiety when there isn't a distraction. Yeah. And like boredom is a healthy part of life. And even like kids who are, they don't want to be bored. And so that's almost where you see more behaviors or they're uncomfortable with it, or they even act like it's a painful thing. Yeah. I think it can be a little bit of mental anguish if you're not familiar with the feeling of being bored. But that's also where I find a lot of deep insights, or I can be more honest with myself. So we want to kick off an August challenge. Yeah. So we want to do a social media challenge, and we've talked a bit about what that could look like. And I guess we're calling it like a social media cleanse or a social media challenge. But to me, again, like YouTube is a part of a distraction for me. Yeah. It's mainly just like phone use, tech use.
Yeah, you have challenge. Step number one is you have to take inventory and be super duper honest with yourself. Don't try to like justify, like just, look at your phone usage or what, anything, and decide, the two categories that we saw were what, utility, and what was the other one?
I don't know
we'll say uselessness. No,
like distraction, maybe.
Okay, yeah. Distraction and utility.
Yeah, like does it serve a purpose versus is it a distraction? And that's going to look a little bit different for everyone. So please, like, gauge with yourself what would be appropriate for you to limit. Yeah. Because if you're an influencer or if you have to do marketing for whatever on social media, it's a part of your job.
Yeah, then don't abandon those.
Yeah, then clearly that's not something you might be able to like delete or abandon. Mm-hmm. But what limitations can you put on it, or what awareness and intention can you put on that so that it's not, seeping into distraction and being more indulgent.
Yeah. And the thing that I keep trying to like caution for myself, like I said earlier in this episode, that the most likely path to success is through incremental, like slow steadiness. So then, like when I incorporated exercise into my life, I had to find something that wasn't like overly drastic, that I would comfortably commit to all the time. And that worked. And so like each person, because the temptation when you take on like a challenge like this is you want to be super ambitious and do something that you're gonna hate, but it's like no, because me personally, social media has been the most toxic relationship of my life, and so I really want to incorporate a new way of utilizing it, and so like for me, it's not going to be this massively drastic thing, but a couple of the major distractions are just the scrolling, the nonsense doom scrolling, and that I probably spend more than 3 hours a day doing that just mindlessly. So that's one thing I'm going to eliminate. And then also like posting onto my story, that's a really huge distraction in my life too. So, but what I'll still use social media for posting are reels, and there are ways that people communicate with me like through Facebook Messenger and stuff. So I'll still be available that way. But then my goal is like to incorporate those comfortable shifts, and then like evaluate how I'm feeling like I'm in 30 days. And I'm like, okay, I love this. I'm going to continue doing this. But now I'm going to try to like not go on Facebook at all, So like it can be a slow, gradual evolution as well.
Yeah, make it realistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it realistic to what is actually going to fit into your life. Because, yeah, I do intend on maintaining a lot of these healthy habits after August. I would like to.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that it's something that can be attainable. And so exactly. I like all of those points. One thing, I know this was one that felt hard for you when we talked about it the other day. It's something I'm ready to do, but it almost feels like taking away a pacifier, which sounds so dumb when you're an adult, but charging the phone outside of your bedroom, charging it in a different location. And you were saying like that felt like a little bit of a like a true challenge.
Yeah. Because like I know that when I do that, I will be alone with my thoughts, but I just have to. And most of my life, I've been alone with my thoughts, and I've come up with like, I'll start to like dream and and come up with creative ideas when I'm alone with my thoughts. So I do know it's going to be positive by me doing that, but then I know that I'm afraid that there's going to be like an element of loneliness because my phone is like who I sleep next to every night,
Tuck it in. Yeah. Put those jammies on.
Yeah. So I'm going to feel like truly alone. But, but I mean, the thing is, yeah, like you said, what was it? What was that quote that you said? If you're not happy being alone, then
I already forgot it again.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, I'll superimpose it.
You're only alone if you don't like who you're alone with.
Yeah.
Or lonely. Yeah. And I even like, because your response is a little bit different today than even it was a couple days ago too. Like it's sunk in a little bit, or you thought about it. And I appreciate that, because the things that you're saying about, well, I've been creative in those moments in the past, or that the majority of my life has been alone. I think that it's good for us to remember that it's not like you haven't experienced being
and
without
like
your device before.
Yeah.
And that there are positive thoughts that can come from it too. I think most often there's this knee-jerk fear of like, well, what if I'm having anxiety, or what if, X, Y, and Z. And so I like that. And I'm excited for the new things that will be able to fill that time too. Like all through growing up was a very avid, like voracious reader, and that has slowed down a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm told there's so many ways I'm turning into my mother, but one of them is like, I have a nightstand that is just stacked high with books. What am I thinking? Is it going to like osmosis? It's just going to like seep into my brain? Like I wish, like I'm waiting for like the Matrix to just like plug me in and like zap it into my head. And so I'm really looking forward to being able to read some more books at night. I think that's going to help my brain be more prepared for sleep, and to do more journaling. Those are the things that I'd like to do in the evenings. I should
do journaling for sure, because I was thinking of a story. Like one time when I was married, I was like, oh, telling my wife, I had this really great conversation today. I was, talking about it. And then she was like, oh, with who? And I was like, it was with myself.
Like, you didn't realize that in the beginning?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Because and it's funny because do you talk out loud to yourself sometimes?
I know that I will move my mouth sometimes.
Okay.
Maybe sometimes I say something actually out loud. Yeah.
When I'm in my car, obviously driving in my car. When I'm driving in my car, I will speak audibly to myself, and then I'll sort of catch myself when I'm like stopped and people are next to me. And I think, I can just pretend like I was talking on speakerphone.
Bluetooth. Yeah. Well, right. Because that's how it is now. No one's going to, that's what everyone would assume.
Yeah. So I'm thankful for Bluetooth. But yeah, no, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
People will think that I'm just like, my neighbors will think I'm crazy because
like,
they'll hear this one-sided conversation and then me laugh.
You're so funny, James.
That was a good one. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. You're so smart too. Yeah, that's what I see the conversations with you now.
Yeah.
So some other points that we had kind of outlined in our previous conversation too. It was good. It was good that we actually had that conversation. It gave us some more direction, I think.
Yeah.
But this is something Zach had done a while ago when he did a social media cleanse, and I really liked it. I'm sure he found it from somewhere else too, but really cleaning up your home screen, like essentially almost not even having icons on it. This fly, it's a kamikaze fly. It's zooming around
Goddamn
my head
fly.
right now. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I had to pause for a moment. It was coming for me.
In kamikaze, that's your people.
Well, I mean,
Sorry.
It knows. It knows.
Yeah.
Okay. Refocus. So cleaning up your home screen and really making it more minimalist so that when you immediately pick up your phone, it's not something that is distracting you or showing you notifications. I would even say edit your notifications so you're not getting, this is what all these dings and things, whether it's from the news or social media, and actually like delete the social media apps off of your phone. Only access it over your computer if you can handle that. If that's something, again, like that fits your life and your lifestyle, your livelihood. And I liked this idea too, is to turn the phone screen on grayscale.
Yeah.
I saw you looking so focused. Did you get it?
No.
Oh man, he went for the fly, guys. And I was like,
if I catch it during this recording, it's going to be such a beautiful moment.
Wow.
I will assassinate it too. Okay,
wow.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. No, sorry. Everyone is listening to us be distracted by this. Oh my God, it was coming right for me. This fly. Sorry, folks. If we have to pause to kill the fly, we will. Oh God, it's happening. Oh.
Okay, sorry.
He almost got it.
I need to do we have a fly swatter or something?
I could go get one. I don't have one in here. Or you can use a book. We have a bookshelf in here. Okay. Should I go get one for you?
Yeah, because then it will kill it and we won't be distracted anymore.
Okay. Time out, folks. For nap time, so I had to wait until she
like a ninja?
Yeah.
Thank you. Speaking of ninja, now I am armed. Thank you, Kehlani.
Yes, you feel powerful now.
Now the fly's going to land right here on the tip of it. I'm like, oh God.
Oh, all right. Now we're ready. This fly is gonna get it, and we will celebrate, and you will celebrate with us.
See, that's the thing. That's the risk that you run leaving your garage door open. And like when I go to somebody's house and they leave their front door open, I just can't. I can't relax because I'm like, close your door. Do you want bugs to get in here?
Bugs?
Because that's how you get bugs in your house. And so, yeah, I don't leave my front door open.
We have a toddler who leaves the door open, but I think it's funny. The bugs here are nothing in comparison to where I grew up in northern Minnesota, where it was just swarms of mosquitoes, and it's like the national bird.
Yeah, because there's so many lakes.
Yeah, lakes and just really humid. You purposely burped right into the microphone.
I did.
I don't know what that was, but so here I'm like, this is fine. Who cares? There's only like 3 flies in the house, not 20.
Yeah.
But
It's Great point. So you know what? We didn't talk about what we're going to talk about. Is that the topic of the show, the social media cleanse?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Oh, okay,
man.
sweet.
Yeah. And then we have an advice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love me some advice.
Yeah. But we have a couple more points on the social media cleanse, man. Don't rush me.
I just want to spitball for a second about social media.
Okay. Tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm just trying to reminisce like how I was raised on social media, basically.
Okay. Tell me, because you were mentioning, you said Yahoo chat. See, I was MSN chat.
Okay, that was the same time, but Yahoo was like the original in 1996.
96.
That when the internet like first came out.
Beep boop, beep boop.
I went on Yahoo chat, and I remember the first person I chatted with was a girl. Her name was like something Orange. I remember she was like from Maryland.
What do you mean her name was something Orange?
Her screen name was like Orange Girl 395 or something like that.
Like,
you know,
whose name is Orange?
No, you didn't use your real name back then. And so like I remember like all the acronyms. If you guys are old like me, do you remember ASL? Do you remember ASL? That meant age, sex, location. So then you would say, "Oh, I'm 15, male from Washington."
Okay.
And I remember that first conversation, and I fell in love with this girl because
you fell in love with the Orange
this
girl.
is the only conversation I ever had with her for like 5 minutes, but it was so new and like cool, and speaking to a stranger that was like interested. Oh my gosh. And so that was like I was hooked.
No, I remember every night logging in, and that's where it was happening. But it was for these short periods of time, like I would go to bed. So it was only during this like time frame when I knew other people would be on, which was usually around the same time, and then it was done. And now I think about kids where they're inundated 24/7 with that being like attached to them or access to that, and from so many different platforms.
Yeah.
The level of distraction. Whew, man.
Well, it's so crazy how like it all started out fairly innocent.
With Orange.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about just chat and all that stuff in general, the internet. And because like nobody thought it was like going to be toxic, but then, and then eventually like the first social media I feel like was MySpace.
That was the first one that I was a part of or that I remember. I can't think of I don't remember anyone else talking about anything prior to that either. But yeah, MySpace, and you got to like personalize the song.
Yeah, you could bling your page.
Yeah,
your
all
top
of that
8.
stuff. I wasn't like fully immersed in MySpace. Like I had one, but I don't think I like went on it that often.
I was obsessed with MySpace. So
obsessed.
Yeah.
Well, but you are an old man, and I'm younger than you.
That was in my prime. I was like 2003.
2003. Okay, so 2003, I was still in high school.
Okay, you were in high school?
I didn't graduate till 2006.
Okay, so you were like a freshman in 2003.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 2003. I'm saying, well, MySpace I think existed before then, but that's when I really got into it. And I remember do you remember the top 8? Like who your best friends?
Oh yeah.
And it was like your ranking. So your number one was like my number one was like my brother or my girlfriend or whatever. And then like if my friend and I got in an argument, they would be moved down to number 7.
Oh man!
And they would notice.
Ruthless.
Yeah,
that is.
And if I really didn't like them, they would go to number 8.
Whoa!
And if they were off the top 8, that was like our friendship is over. Yeah, I wouldn't unfriend them. I still wanted them to like see all my stuff.
See how great I am.
And then one day I remember everyone just migrated to Facebook. To Facebook,
yeah.
In like 2010-ish.
Facebook was more so my gateway drug, more than
MySpace.
MySpace, yeah. Facebook was in college, so I got one the summer I went to college early because I'm a nerd. So like right after high school, I went to college that summer. And I remember getting a MySpace, and it was just such a way to like get to know people and connect with people, and like you meet people. But then Facebook, just the evolution of that.
Yeah, Facebook ruled the world.
Yes,
like for a decade, and then COVID happened, And like during Facebook's reign, like Twitter, was there.
I was resistant, honestly. Everything after Facebook, I'm pretty slow to come around to.
Yeah.
Like I'm the last person to join it. But yeah, now for me, my current lineup that I have on my phone that I will be detoxing from: Facebook, Instagram. I mean, and I have a TikTok, but my personal posts are pretty few and far between. I forget to. We have our Delightful Pod TikTok, and so I like going on to check on that. But I kind of realized how addicting that could be.
Yeah,
it might be I don't know, and so I haven't leaned into it, which I'm probably grateful for now.
Yeah. No.
I have it mainly so that I can watch the videos that either you or my friends Jessica and Ashley send me. Because otherwise, if they send me links, I can't watch them.
Yeah,
that's pretty much why I have TikTok.
Nowadays, like the best friends that I have, I text TikToks to, But yeah, and TikTok is so mindless and like so pointless, but it's so entertaining, and it got its own thing. But
right, because that's the point of all of these is that it's meant to steal your attention, because then you'll be able to view ads, and you'll be engaging, and now your attention is a commodity. And I don't think that we realize how precious that is, not only to our life and our productivity or our goals, and just being more clicked in with our life and aware, which I think are those thoughts and those things that happen during boredom, to be able to problem solve, cause and effect, to set goals, etc. And so now it's just this wasteland of social media where I think there are benefits. I'm not saying that there's not, but there's also a lot of comparison, and there's also just a lot of wasted time.
Absolutely. Yeah. The whole like living comparatively, because social media, I mean, TikTok is not this way because TikTok is not really like personalized, it's just like whatever people making videos. But like Instagram is all visual, it's pictures and videos, and that's it. And so people will post their highlight reels on Instagram. And so then when you are not really like living in such a way that you're proud of, then it makes it way more depressing to go on Instagram and be like, oh, that person is living like their best life. But I mean, they're obviously just hiding the bad parts, which everyone on social media typically does. Although I had made it a point at one point to like share all the bad stuff I was going through. But then I realized, and people would like say that they appreciated that, but then after a while, I'm like, I'm not really like respecting my own privacy.
Yeah, who am I doing this for?
Yeah,
right.
And it was really like because I was being encouraged to do that, and so that was like a form of people pleasing, even though I was going against the grain. So then now lately, I'm just kind of like, well, I don't really care to share, like all of my life publicly, because it's
not their business.
Yeah, it's my life.
Yeah.
And people, I'm not hiding anything to those that are around me. And then on the podcast, I openly share everything. So if you want to know everything about me, just listen to this podcast.
Just tune in, just subscribe, review, like all that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that people provide a curated version of their life on social media, and it has to be your own personal responsibility to acknowledge that and realize that as you are engaging with it.
Yeah.
And when I think you can curate your social media, and I encourage you to do that in part of this cleanse too, because you might still access it on your computer, or if you plan on revisiting it, this might be step one before you even delete the apps off, is to remove anything that does make you feel crappy.
Yeah.
And to unfollow the people or the pages that aren't like a healthy aspect of your life.
Yeah.
And really make sure that when you log in, it's positive messages. And luckily that is what the majority of my pages are, especially because I'm a counselor. I just enjoy that kind of stuff anyways. Yeah. So a lot of it is quite positive, but it's easy to still fall into comparison. And you have to remember that. I think one page that I don't remember the name of it, but it's this woman who does basically she shows you how Instagram models take photos and how unrealistic it is by the way that you are like posing your body versus reality. And I think that things like that can be really helpful too, to just point out how unrealistic, or when people show and peel back a few layers of how much editing might go into a photo. I remember there used to be Dove the like soap company or whatever. They also had a campaign about like Real Beauty or something like that, where they showed this model and they time lapsed it to show all of the steps to get her looking beautiful from being like fresh faced and no makeup, and then the editing that happened afterwards, and then putting it up on a billboard, and like all of those steps to help you see that like this idea of what you see as perfection or beauty that's plastered all over magazines and billboards and everything isn't reality.
Yeah.
And I do feel like if comparison with what you see on social media is an aspect of what you struggle with, find some pages that peel back the reality of those layers so that you can just have some reminders and not have a false sense of comparison that isn't necessary.
Totally. Yeah. Everything you said. Sometimes you'll just say something and I'm like, yeah, I have nothing to add to that.
Yeah.
That was excellent.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I guess another thing, just tagging on, this is just a thought that I've been having too. There's so many times when embarrassing things happen to us, and there was something embarrassing happened to a friend of mine recently. And I also tried to remind them that, do you realize that that's something that's probably happened to everybody? Like, everyone has accidentally left their fly down. Everyone has I don't know name other embarrassing things that happen, right? Like everyone has done those things before. And there's something that you can come back to when you realize that makes it less embarrassing and hopefully gets you to a point where you can kind of laugh at yourself too. Yeah. It's such a good skill to be able to laugh at yourself and just move through it and not feel paralyzed by it when something like that happens. So even on social media, when you're seeing this false idea of perfection that's being put out there, realize that those are people who have lots of faults and flaws, and they mess up too. This is a snapshot. This doesn't encapsulate the flaws and the imperfections in their life.
For sure. Yeah, I always appreciate though when people post on social media some embarrassing thing, and it always is like such a positive response by their friends, and like for me, whenever something embarrassing happens, I look forward. Well, I look forward to posting about it or telling everyone about it, because I think I like making people laugh,
I get to that point too, where I'm also just like, this is going to make a really funny story later. And it happens so much quicker now, almost like as the embarrassing, cringy thing is happening. I'm like, well, this will be entertaining to tell later.
Yeah. Like if I got like my most embarrassing moment on video, I would be so happy to share that.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
'Cause I know that it would go viral, and that's all I live for.
Oh, the social media cleanse is going to be good for you.
The most viral video I've ever been a part of was this podcast.
Yeah? Which one?
The Ted Lasso one?
Our Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to send this to you. We went to a cute little coffee shop when we were in Canada, and they had Ted Lasso shortbread, and I ate some.
That he, like the kind that he made?
I mean, it looked like it, but
it was super good.
It was really delicious. I love shortbread.
Fuck me when you ate it.
Fuck me. Shortbread was amazing.
That's what Rebecca says when she takes a bite. She goes, "Fuck me."
It was so cute, and it made me really happy.
Ted Lasso. We need to find a way to make a Ted Lasso reference in all of our episodes, because those reels get the most views.
There's another Ted Lasso thing I realized, and I don't remember if I told you or not. It was when I went to the Psychedelic Science Conference in Denver like a month ago, and they pointed out that in Ted Lasso, on this one of the last scenes when he's flying in the airplane to go back home, he's reading the book How to Change Your Mind by Mike Pollan, which is about plant medicine and psychedelics.
Oh, cool.
So it's like, it's funny because... is that an aspect perhaps of how Ted Lasso do
you remember the episode where Ted Lasso figures out his like his new defense, inspired by the Chicago Bulls, and because he was like. Well, he was like on a placebo, it turns out.
Oh,
but
yeah.
he thought he was under the influence of like some psychedelic.
Yeah.
But so then that almost like doesn't necessarily promote psychedelics, but it does promote like mindset and placebo and how powerful your creativity is if you let your guard down.
Think outside the box.
This is going to be a Ted Lasso reel, and I'm so effing
Lean
excited.
in. Be curious.
Yeah. So, anywho, I think we're probably like deep into this episode.
I know.
Are we ready for?
I know.
Did we talk the social media cleanse to ad nauseum?
Let me see if we hit all the points I want. Yep, I think we're good. We checked all the boxes that I really wanted to. So make sure that you're really analyzing when you like. I'll make a post and we'll be posting some tips. I also made some really cool like wallpaper backgrounds for your phone that can give you really mindful little reminders to help you stay strong if you want to join us on this social media cleanse. So those will be made available soon.
You know what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
Because like since you're investing into this like with the neon light that you purchased and everything.
Oh yeah, we're going to have a neon light in our studio. It says
I have been wanting to invest in either bracelets with like one of our little catchphrases or something, or t-shirts. But then I feel like the t-shirts would be something we would need to strategize. Should I just go for it and buy? Because I was thinking about getting like pink and teal bracelets that say like "Be Curious" or "Lean In." You know what I mean?
That.
So there's always a reminder right on your hand.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna order those, and then we'll put a link in the link tree once they're available.
Okay, cool. Yay.
And we'll sell them. Yeah.
Boop, boop, boop.
And we'll make a bunch of money and be billionaires.
Yeah, maybe we'll pay for that light. Who knows? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Billionaires off of little rubber bracelets.
Each one is we're gonna charge $100,000.
Wow, dang.
So
they're made out of.
Still have to sell a lot to get to $1 billion. 10,000, right?
What a marketing strategy. We've already learned this before, though. We should not do math. We are not the Asians that do math.
I think I got that right, though.
Before
10,000 times 100,000 is $1 billion.
Okay. I'll believe it. Someone check our math. Someone look. Your eyes are all bugging out, man. Okay, you're right. I think that we've hit on all the social media points.
Okay.
Thank you. I just want to encourage everyone to be curious, lean in, but obviously continue to follow everything, all of our content exclusively.
And sorry, one last thought. Like we are so thankful for all of our social media followers, and TikTok has been so wonderful to us. That's our biggest audience. And because I really would like to do that whole like late night advice thing with the alcohol thing on a TikTok live. Also Facebook is our second largest following. So maybe we could do like a simultaneous TikTok and Facebook live while doing the advice. And that, if that happens during our social media cleanse, then we give you permission to take a quick break from your cleanse to tune into that.
I think we should do it after the cleanse because I don't want to send mixed messages.
Okay, yeah. So in coming September,
we're
gonna do that.
Okay, so we have two advices to choose from. One that's a little more tame and one that's a little more racy. I'm gonna let you pick.
I'll let you guess which one I'm gonna pick. The tame one, of course. I'm just kidding. No, juice. Let's go with racy.
Okay. All right.
That's how my mom would say my ex-wife's name.
Oh, funny.
My mom's Korean.
Racy.
Her name's Lacey.
Yeah.
Racy, like that.
Yes. Okay, here we go. I hope this message finds you well. I'm reaching out to you today seeking some guidance and support in a situation that has deeply shaken my world and left me feeling lost and betrayed. It's difficult for me to put into words the confusion and pain I've been experiencing, but I'll try my best to convey the situation. Oh, this human. Recently, I found myself caught up in a whirlwind of events that led me to believe I had a sex addiction. I was approached by a close friend who expressed concerns about my behavior and suggested that I seek help. Trusting their judgment and feeling overwhelmed by the emotions and doubts within me, I decided to enter a rehab center specifically for sex addiction. However, as the weeks passed and I engaged in therapy sessions and group discussions, a sense of unease and doubt began to grow within me. The more I listened to others share their experiences, the more I realized that my own struggles and behaviors did not align with their narrative. It felt as though I had been led astray, convinced that I had a problem that truly didn't exist. The realization that I may not actually have a sex addiction has left me questioning my own perception of reality. I trusted the judgment of those around me, including my friends, who initially raised concerns, but now I wonder if they were misguided or perhaps had ulterior motives. It is a painful and disorienting experience to feel like I have been gaslighted into believing something that doesn't resonate with my own truth. To make matters worse, the fallout from the experience has been incredibly challenging. Within my community, where support and understanding should prevail, I have been met with rejection and judgment. It feels as though I'm being cast aside, with people metaphorically throwing stones at me, unable or unwilling to see behind the narrative that was falsely constructed. I'm reaching out to you because I'm struggling to make sense of all of this. How do I begin to rebuild my shattered trust and regain my sense of self? How do I navigate the aftermath of this deeply unsettling experience, knowing that some of the people may never understand or believe my side of the story? How do I heal from the wounds caused by the rejection and judgment I have faced? Your guidance and perspective would be immensely valuable to me at this time. I'm hoping that with your help, I can find solace, strength, and renewed sense of purpose as I work towards reclaiming my own truth and rebuilding the relationships that have been strained. Thank you for taking the time to read my story and for considering offering your support. I eagerly await your response and the guidance you can provide. That was so beautifully written.
That was the most well-written. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so beautiful.
What's the name?
I want to double check that they want us to use
because
their name.
That person,
Maggie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maggie should be an author
or
a novelist because
I know. I felt the emotion in this entry so deeply. Those questions that she's asking herself, like, how do I move through this?
Well, to be like that attuned to like your own consciousness, I feel like is the best combat against gaslighting. You know, I mean, yeah, that's very unfortunate and I experienced something very similar.
I was thinking that as I was reading it, that there were some parallels.
Yeah, and so you feel, and I know the people that contributed to my experience, they had only the best intentions. Like, it was out of love and it was out of their own confusion, but it came from like purity culture and like a lot and my vulnerability through my shame, that I was accepting all of their analysis of me, you know. And so I believed what everyone was telling me, but like when somebody convinces you that you can't trust your own thoughts, and there are some exceptions where like you know, you've been so manipulated and influenced that maybe that's correct, you shouldn't trust your own thoughts, but for the most part, like, your feelings and your thoughts are coming from somewhere and you got to lean into them and you know. So but I mean, for her to reach a point where she was convinced of like having a disorder that just wasn't true, and then discovering that when like she's invested all this time and money into it. I do wish I had asked Maggie some questions, actually, just because there's not a lot of details into, you know, maybe why friends and close people to her thought she might have had a sex addiction. And whether or not she comes from maybe a more purity culture type of community, where I think that the perspective about sex is skewed in a different direction than maybe secular communities. Yeah.
And not skewed, like, I guess maybe that isn't the right word. It's just different perspective. And I come from a more secular community, so we would have probably some different opinions there, where I really think that it largely, you need to reflect on to what extent is the behavior you're engaging in limiting or complicating or really making life more difficult for you, or making it harder for you to have healthy relationships with others, making it difficult for you to be honest and have a good reputation with yourself.
Yeah.
Like those are questions to ask yourself. And I think that most people who do have like a true addiction would say, yeah, no, this is, if they're being honest, they'd say this is really affecting my life. It's affecting my quality of life.
Yeah.
Whether or not, and I'm going to go off a little bit on tangent, but whether or not it's the addiction that's having like a chemical reaction, because there's those types of addictions and a dependence on it like physically, and then that affects finances and things like that. But also there's a shame that is carried when you have a secret and when you have an addiction that can affect your relationships and make you maybe even more hyper aware of everyone else or not wanting to get caught. It can really affect the way that you interact with the people in your life. So those are things that I guess I'd want anyone to reflect on when it comes to addiction, especially, I didn't even think about this. We're talking about kind of social media addiction, but here, there's a parallel and just another story of a different type of addiction in this entry. But so I don't have any of those details when it comes to Maggie, but Maggie's really feeling like this was not accurate. Like she was led to believe that she was bad by people that she really trusted, or that she had done something that wasn't aligned with her values. And that's another question to ask yourself when it comes to addiction. Sorry. Okay. I was so deep into that statement, but he got the fly, folks. We need to make an announcement right now. The fly has been gotten.
It's dead.
I wish that there was someone at our control board to give us an applause. So here, slow clap. Woo!
Sorry, that was such a awesome statement that you were in the middle of, and I just interrupted. I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue.
But I was captivated by the getting of the fly. It happened. Gosh, I really would want for Maggie to find a community that can just love her so wholeheartedly, and to recognize that there will be people in your life that are going to be dedicated to misjudging you, and that is not a reflection of your worth. I believe in self-reflection. I believe in owning your shit. I believe in, apologizing and making amends when you need to. But I also think that you have to have and know yourself well enough to know when to not listen to someone, and that their words are a detriment to you, that their opinion is a detriment to you. And that's a difficult web to get yourself out of. And I think that's kind of what Maggie's saying. Like, I'm struggling to make sense of this. How do I rebuild my shattered trust and regain my sense of self? How do I navigate this?
Yeah.
How did you navigate some of, like, there was a negative opinion of you that you navigated through. And I'd love to know, like, what that felt like and looked like for you. Could that lend some help to Maggie?
Yeah. Well, the first thought that I'm having right now is, like, I would venture to say that we should reserve diagnosing people as an absolute last resort when you've exhausted every possible facet you possibly can, because it's culturally we almost, it's a form of judgment, and it's a form of like a lack of curiosity and a lack of like work. It's almost a lazy thing to go, well, what is your personality disorder? What are the thing? And it's almost victim mindset too, because truly when you go through, because for me, that was floated to me heavily that I had sex addiction after my affair. And I kept saying, no, that's not, I can tell you that's not the case. Like that does, I don't meet hardly any of the criteria. And people would say, no, you have sex addiction, James. You don't realize it, but you do. And so then in my whole journey over the last 2 years, I realized, no, I don't have any personality disorders or anything. I just had, I had a point where my impulses ruled, and I shared that. And so, it was like friends who meant well, but they wanted to quickly like be the savior in my story or something, and so then they like threw these like wet noodles against the wall to see what would stick, and I was like almost an experiment with stuff that they had no experience or authority or familiarity on.
That's a great point. I'm really glad that you brought all of that up, because people who are able, like I'm able to diagnose someone, that took like 6 to 7 years of education.
Yeah.
So do your friends have 6 to 7 years of education? And then on top of that, I've had like, 10 plus years of working in the field. And I'm not saying like, ooh, I have some special thing, but like they're understanding the diagnostic criteria is something that you have to learn and understand. And if you don't, then you shouldn't really be throwing around those statements or diagnoses frivolously. So that's another good point. I actually had, what was it? There was someone I know who had a diagnosis that they were kind of troubled by, that they had gotten. And I guess the other piece that I acknowledge as someone who gives diagnoses to people is that this is a means for insurance to cover treatment, really. The DSM, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, there we go, is has all the criteria for diagnosis of different things. I would say, and this is also came after it just what's the word I'm looking for? It just reinforced, there we go, this belief when I met with Dr. Bessel van der Kolk and was at his seminar in Denver, and he wrote The Body Keeps the Score. He's a leader, trauma expert, that like the DSM needs to go. It is outdated. Trauma response. That's what addiction is. And that is also what most diagnoses are. There are some people that truly have like a chemical imbalance. And I'm not saying that isn't a piece of it and that isn't a part of the equation, but trauma is painful. It's emotionally painful. We are not taught to be vulnerable and to process it well. Our caregivers are learning as we evolve. And so when someone is engaged in trauma and they are engaging in addiction, like it's numbing that emotional pain that's there. So if someone doesn't understand that and can't come from like a heart-centered place, they shouldn't be like throwing those diagnoses around or things like that. And I would want Maggie to try and take it with a grain of salt with that understanding too, that, maybe it was coming from a good place, these friends that she had and felt like she trusted, but that doesn't mean that they know what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just, I think just every human needs to approach every other human as this person is having a human experience. This person is precious. This person has pain. My role is to be curious and not judge. Simply like that. And if you start there, then you're going to be way more effective as a person and as a friend, because if somebody is doing self-destructive things, not living within their principles and convictions, those are symptoms of like some deeply rooted issues, maybe childhood trauma or whatever, but you're not going to just be able to diagnose them. And then like that's from your very limited information you have on them. And then that's going to solve the problem. It takes walking alongside with them, navigating through all their shame and everything. And that is that's like years.
And I'd love your opinion on this too, James, as someone who like you're Christian and you are a part of that community. I feel, even if your opinion is honestly critical of what I'm about to say, I welcome it.
Okay, go for it.
I feel like I've seen a lot of times where people in the Christian community who do not have the expertise are trying to do counseling, are doing that diagnosis, are like inserting themselves in that way. And I'm not saying that, pastors or people who are a part of the church can't be helpful in healing, but you also need to understand and know when you might be doing more harm than good. Yeah. And when the tenets of Christianity have skewed you to become more judgmental. And if you don't understand how to heal that emotional trauma, you are not you're not serving the people well if you can't
Yeah.
come from that heart-centered place of understanding all of that and understanding trauma and
Yeah.
understanding that emotional pain. So I think, again, not knowing enough about Maggie's story, part of it has me wondering if it comes from a Christian leaning
Yeah.
and if that judgment was ill-placed.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily the Christian worldview that would influence that. I think it's just being in a community, like a concentrated community where people feel like they have to behave a certain way. And then, yeah, I mean, I guess the Christian worldview would influence that because like the whole purity thing. But no, because what I've noticed in churches is that there's always a handful of people who want to be like the leaders of the community and they want to be the smartest people in the room. And it's almost like a form of narcissism. And so then they'll go around and like try to be the wisest person so that other people go, wow, he's so like spiritually gifted.
Just because there's a cross on the building doesn't mean that it isn't a place for people to feel power and influence. And those are also addictive substances.
Yeah.
You know, like,
well, I mean,
those can lead to a lot of very narcissistic, grandiose, and judgmental behaviors and thoughts.
Yeah. Well, and like, I'll just speak into my Christian worldview. Like, Jesus himself withheld judgment, you know? Like, there's a passage in the Bible where they bring a woman caught in adultery before Jesus, and he said, and then back then you would cast stones and kill the woman. And so then they asked Jesus if he was going to stone the woman, and he said, "He who is without sin cast the first stone." And they believed that Jesus started writing their sins in the sand, and they all started leaving.
Right.
And then after they all left, he said to the woman, "Go and sin no more." You know, and he didn't. He said he is without sin, cast the first stone. By that standard, he had the authority to cast a stone. He didn't. You know, and so like.
I think that's a good message for Maggie, though, as she's saying, how do I move forward and heal from the wounds of this rejection and judgment that I've faced?
Yeah, the only one that has the authority to judge hasn't even judged you. So it's like, if people are judging you, then you have to realize that they don't have the authority to judge you, and you can live comfortably in that. Like, they don't know your story. People who quick to judge and quick to diagnose should not really be invited into your life, because you have a healing journey that you have to go through, and the only ones that can be invited to that
nourish that healing journey. Maybe that's a good question. Like, as Maggie's trying to figure out what relationships to rebuild, or if she wants to, like, who can nourish your healing journey?
Curious people, delightful humans.
I'm just sending this delightful human so much love and care and compassion right now. You know, I mean, she even said she feels like there's metaphorical stones being thrown at her, you know? I mean, so that story was so perfect.
Yeah.
And I might be making a huge assumption, or I'm wondering, it's not an assumption, I'm wondering about whether it does come from a religious place, the judgment that she's been facing too. It might not be. It might not be at all. It could be wrong. But I think you never know when there's a dark time in your life, whether it is a catalyst for the next chapter to become better. And so part of me wants to really say to you, Maggie, perhaps this is opening your eyes to this community that actually wasn't safe for you and actually couldn't nurture that for you.
Yeah.
And only she can reflect on those friendships and decide if that is true or not. And there is a sadness to that, even when you realize that it could be the case. I've had to say goodbye to friends where I'm like, God, I freaking love you. But you cannot nurture my healing journey right now. And I cannot afford that risk. And if that's where you're coming from, Maggie, then I know that that's a difficult thing to step away from, because there are friends and people in your life that can be so much fun, and you can have these beautiful memories with them. And there have been examples of times they've cared. But what I'm hearing is that you're needing someone, Maggie, that can really like have the patience to hear your side and listen and understand. And if the people around you don't have those ingredients to do that, then I want you to look forward, even if it looks like a blank slate, of what you would like to fill your life with. What are the types of people that you want to be around?
Yeah.
And I love this idea too, like, think about your best self and how can you get closer to that? So if it's if this best self that you're wanting to heal and rebuild looks like someone who doesn't care about the opinions of people who are dedicated to hurting or seeing them in a certain way, then you will have to distance yourself.
Yeah.
That is what someone who doesn't care about unhealthy opinions looks like. And again, not to say that we shouldn't reflect on our behavior. I want my friends, honestly. I have to ask my husband, I'm like, call me out on some shit. You're my mirror. I want to be able to course correct. And that is what the people in our community are there to help us with. But I'm hearing her say, like, she's just feeling so incredibly misunderstood.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a painful place to be, especially if you spent your whole life as a people pleaser. That's
right.
Like
that's where I'm getting hints of that too.
And so it's like I am empathetic toward the pain that she's experiencing, but I'm so excited for when she gets to the end of her healing journey, because it's gonna be a new life.
Yes, exactly. That's where I am too. And so even if that doesn't feel like it's where you are at now, Maggie, we are your cheerleaders. We're cheering you on. And honestly, we've both been there in different ways and having to had rebuild.
Yeah.
Like, you're not alone in that. And it feels disorienting. I know I've shared this before. I share it a lot, but I love the idea. There's that saying, when one door closes, the other one opens, and no one talks about the fucking scary as hell hallway that is dark and uncertain, and you don't know where you're just bumping around. And if you're in the hallway, there's some solace you can take in knowing that maybe that's where you're supposed to be right now. But that is taking you and guiding you, and you are navigating and reflecting on where that right door is that you will be opening. And it's there. It is there.
Follow the smell of Korean and Japanese food.
Follow that kimbap.
Yeah. All the way to us. When you said we're your cheerleaders, I was going to say, you know what that means? It's time for the perfect cheer.
Was I supposed to come up with a cheer?
No. Taco, burrito. What's that coming out your Speedo?
Oh,
you nasty.
Oh, no.
From the Spartans from Saturday Night Live?
I mean, I don't know that one specifically. I mean, I know the bit, but didn't they do several?
They did, but that's my favorite.
That's your favorite. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like a good place to close out. Here we started with a poop joke. We're ending with a poop joke. Bookends, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Thank you so much, Delightful Humans, for joining us once again on this podcast. We invite you to, commit to that social media cleanse and really evaluate what you could say goodbye to and what you could adjust in your life to fit and flow better. We send Maggie so much love and care, and please like, subscribe, rate, and review us. We so appreciate that help on our passion project, and just, it feels so great to be a part of this community. So thank you so much, Delightful Humans.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.